So welcome everybody to another Macklin'S Take YouTube episode with me, Andy Clark and Matt Macklin. And we are convening just a few minutes after Frampton, unfortunately, has come up short in his bid to become a three-weight world champion, going down by stoppage in the sixth round against Jamal. And Matt, as we always have to in these situations, first thing to do is give full credit to the winner, because I thought Herring boxed superbly, really. People were questioning whether he'll still be strong at the weight because he's so big and he had to get straight off the plane and go to the gym. And there were questions around whether really he could still be strong at super featherweight. But he uses that height, he uses that reach, he maintained the distance, he used all of those natural attributes. He was accurate. In the end, he was spiteful. I thought he was terrific, really.
Yeah, I thought he paced it perfect. You know, he was cagey at the start, but he still established his jab. You know, I thought he settled quickly into the fight, Herring, straight away, really, from the first round. He settled. And Carl didn't. You know, Carl was struggling a little bit. He was overreaching with the right hand, you know, Herring being tall. You could see Carl was trying to get close with the feet. He was trying to move the head and steal a couple of inches and sneak his way into the range. You know, easier said than done. But Herring was very good at controlling that distance with his jab, driving those straight lefts into the body as well. That was a hard shot that I thought Carl struggled to get past. And, you know, a few times he was reaching, then falling in on top. But as you said there, the first three rounds I thought were pretty clear for Herring. Round four, I thought Carl tried to turn things around by trying to walk to him. He put the hands up, realised he wasn't going to do this by fencing with the lead hand and trying to beat him with the backhand. He wasn't going to win that way. So he tried to take the fight to him in the fourth. And really did have a good go. You know, he took a lot of shots. He was landing some good uppercuts, walked onto a few uppercuts as well. But like you say, he was prepared to take one, to give one. At that point, he was prepared to go the hard way. But no, ultimately, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't to be. But Herring, you have to, as you rightly say, he was. It's not what. It's more what Herring did so well. I think it wasn't that Carl did anything badly. Maybe couldn't quite get his timing in the distance, but it was more what Herring did so good. He was really sharp.
Yeah, absolutely. And you summed it up perfectly there, really. He could see after the first three rounds that he was going to have to, as you always describe it, do it the hard way. And he did absolutely try to do it the hard way, but Herring was just a little bit too accurate, and he was ready for it. And the way he went down in the sixth, he went down in the fifth as well, but the way he went down in the sixth, kind of in installments, really, from that uppercut. You can tell, can't you, almost always when a fighter goes down, whether they're going to recover. And he managed to beat the count, but it was midway through the round. Jamie Moore and Nigel Travis, who are two of the most compassionate boxing men you will find, gave him every chance, but they had to throw the towel in the end.
I thought it was probably perfect timing for the towel, because they will have wanted to give him absolutely every opportunity. He's a proud man, tough man, great champion, knows how to come back, recover. So he gave them every benefit of that. But also, they're great guys. They know the game. They're compassionate as well. They weren't going to let him take unnecessary beating. I think they can look themselves in the mirror and be happy that. And also, look, Carl, no, we gave you every chance, but ultimately, it was the right time to throw the towel in.
Do you think that possibly after the strange couple of years that he's had, Frampton, everybody's had a strange last year, but he's had a strange couple of years with the injury in Philadelphia, and he couldn't really get things going post that defeat against Josh Warrington for a number of reasons. And maybe it was just a combination of that and the fact that he's now in his mid-30s, basically. It just wasn't quite there, maybe. Is that fair?
Yeah. No, of course. Look, he's 34 years old, you know, two-weight world champion. He'll have had a lot of hard fights. He'll have had a lot of hard days in the gym. You know, every dog has his day. And it can be the subtle, and it can be the, you know, we're talking the tiniest of fractions, aren't we? In any sport, you know, you're talking split seconds and, like I said, the tiniest of fractions. But, look, Herring was younger. You know, maybe not so much in age, but in freshness. He was a lot fresher than Frampton. He hasn't had the long, hard career that Carl's had. And he's more hungry. You know, Carl's achieved so much, done well for himself. Like I say, every great career comes to an end. But what we look, he'll be disappointed tonight, and you know, all the rest of it. But in a couple of weeks from now, when he looks back on his career, he'll be smiling and think, you know what, I did it, and he did. He really did. But I guess did way more than he ever even believed. You know, and he'll look back on his whole career with the absolute fondest of memories. You know, he'll be disappointed tonight, though, of course, because he was in it to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do this properly at a later date, but let's just spend 3 or 4 minutes having a quick look back on that career, because two-weight world champion, that epic night in Belfast outdoors in the Titanic Quarter with a specially constructed stadium in his hometown against Kiko Martinez to become super bantamweight champion, the unification against Scott Quigg. And that was a fight. I was all over that fight. I absolutely loved that fight. It didn't really deliver on the night, but I thought the build-up was terrific. I was around it a little bit. And then, of course, there's the win against Santa Cruz in New York, which was a massive win, an absolutely massive win. He was a heavy underdog that night, 2-1. I definitely remember correctly because I had some money on him, and that was a huge victory. And then to Vegas and defeat in the rematch. But you know, you think of things that you want to tick off in your list: world champion, tick; multiple weight world champion, tick; unified world champion, tick; massive win in America, tick; headline Vegas, although you lost, still headline Vegas, tick. I mean, it's, you know, it's boys' own stuff.
It's what dreams are made of. Absolutely, what dreams are made of, and all at the same time, you know, I think he's someone that is just universally liked across the boxing business. You know, I don't know anyone that's got a bad word to say about him. You know, he's a humble guy, had a great career. Everyone likes him. You know, good talker as well. Very good at breaking down a fight. Honest. What's not to like?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've worked with him in the media a few times already, and I'm sure there's as much of that coming his way as he feels comfortable doing. But he'll take a bit of time out first. And I know he said before this fight that if he lost, he was going to retire, and that's now a reality. Even if you're ready for it, though, that's an adjustment, because obviously the plan was that he wouldn't lose, that he would win, and he would probably go on and have one more. It doesn't matter how level-headed you are and how ready you might think you are for it, and plans post-boxing, etc., etc., etc. You still have that period where you're probably stuck betwixt and between a bit, because you're not quite the next thing yet, but you're not a boxer anymore. You've been there. It's you know, it's a difficult thing.
Yeah, listen, you speak to any fighter, and it was tough, and they'll all tell you. And this is everyone's circumstances are different, but I think from Carl's point of view, you know, he's 34 years old, two-weight world champion. You read off everything he'd done there. You know, done well for himself as well financially. Like you couldn't, at the start of his career, if you were going to script it for him, you couldn't have scripted it better. Do you know what I mean? It was perfect. Yeah, none of us want to script the loss, but it happens, and it happens at the end of your career in a world title fight, going for glory, be daring to be great, going for a world title in a third weight division, giving away the physical attributes of southpaw. You know what I mean? He dared to be great. That's what he did. What a way to go out. So yeah, he'll be disappointed tonight. He'll be disappointed tomorrow, maybe for a week or two. Then I don't think it'll take him long to just think, wow, as if I've done that. What a career. Unbelievable. You know. And then it's just settling into life after that. I don't think there'll be any regrets with his career. He smashed it out of the park. Absolutely smashed it out of the park. But settling into normal life, we get institutionalized into a certain way of living, moving away, going to training camp, head down, blah, blah, blah. Then, you know, you come away and you'll be, oh, well, what am I doing now? I'm not in camp. It's a bit, but you know, you're going to be going into camp soon. So you don't have to worry about it. Just enjoy doing nothing. But now it's like, well, that's over now. Now you just got to settle into new life, new identity, new purpose. But you know, you can see he's a very happy, content man. You know what I mean? His wife, his kids, and I'm sure whatever he'll do, he'll be good at. Whatever he does, all he's got to do is apply the same drive and focus and everything else that he applies with boxing, and he'll be a success.
Yes, absolutely. I think he was ready. I think he was ready for this. I think this last camp not coming home as frequently because of COVID restrictions, etc. I think he's found it particularly difficult. So the very best of luck to him. Congratulations on a brilliant career. We'll see him soon, I hope, ringside at some point in the near future. And congratulations to Jamal Herring, because that's a big win. He was waiting a long time for that fight as well, and he's kind of bucked the recent trend of fighters who've had COVID appearing to kind of struggle a bit, because we saw it with Povetkin. You could argue to a lesser extent maybe with Krzysztof Glavatsky. So he goes on to probably fight Shakur Stevenson. That's definitely an interesting one. Okay, well, we'll leave it there. We will be back with the audio podcast on Tuesday. That's with Matt Christie, and we'll see what turns up next week.